Underwood, Ashton James. Nye McGee here with EUR Web. Thank you for giving me your time today to speak about this very emotional film. And I say emotional because I watched it this morning, and while I didn't start to cry until your character started crying at the end, Blair. So you pulled the
That's my
emotion right
job to
out of me.
bring out the tears.
Yes, when I saw you crying, I'm like, oh God, here comes the flood of tears. I get him. I get this character. I
He makes
understand.
me cry. He brings it out of me.
Right on. Okay, gentlemen. So yes, like I said, we're here to talk about your characters in Youngblood, and I'm gonna kick my first question off for you, Ashton. You play the young Dean Youngblood, and Dean is a highly talented but arrogant. Um, he's kind of arrogant and arrogant.
That's what I
Hockey
keep telling him.
player, right? So, Ashton, let me ask you, how did you approach portraying this character, both his raw skill and emotional vulnerability that seems to stem from his relationship with his father, Blaine?
Yeah, I think it was like for me, really important to make sure that Dean was three-dimensional and that it wasn't just someone who was one thing. As individuals, we're so full. And especially as Black people, I think we're not a monolith. And especially for Dean, I was really, it was really important to me to make sure he wasn't just an angry Black boy, that we
Mm.
didn't watch him and just, that we weren't continuing to contribute to the stereotypes that had been out there. So, Hubert, our director, and I, we sat and we spoke a lot about trying to make him full and trying to, at least when he has his moments, he can reflect and that we can follow him a little easier. So it was really important to just make sure he was three-dimensional.
Right on. And Blair, the father-son relationship is obviously central to this story. So how did you and Ashton work together to capture, that tension, that love, and generational expectations that shape Dean's journey?
Well, first of all, thank you for saying what you said about being emotional at the end, because just like Ashton was very important to me, Ashton is the protagonist. He carries the film. My character as his father comes in and out, and I did not want very much the same thing, just to be an angry Black man and play one note. So how we did it, we rehearsed only twice. The first time was on Zoom.
Yeah.
So it was really more about just being completely vulnerable and completely open when the cameras were rolling. And all you have to do is just, listen to him, look at him, feel him. That's what we do as actors. Open yourself up to the process and what's happening in front of you. And that's really how I think we plugged into that.
Your character raised Dean on discipline and toughness, right? But that
Yes.
same upbringing we see in the film seems to be part of what Dean has to unlearn to be successful. Blair, how did you approach playing a father whose influence is both a gift and a burden to his son?
Hal is just being true to the character. But it was important that that was portrayed because what he does out of love, but it's
Mhm.
tough love and it's complicated love and it's often misunderstood love, but it's very real. And I think a lot of people can, when they see this film, can relate to that and can understand that. And that's part of the brokenness you see at the end in that final scene, because he's just doing the best he can with what he knows. But he wants his son to win. That's his driving force. I want him to win in life, not
Right.
just the game of hockey.
And Blair, you know what? I was watching your scenes and just thinking about
Where'd all that
your
gray hair come from? No, go ahead.
well, I was that did cross my mind. I guess seeing the gray hair, that's a perfect way to say it. I guess seeing the gray hair made me think of your career, like all the roles we've seen you in and just your journey in Hollywood. I mean, you obviously are an icon. And so I was just, going through my mental Rolodex of your performances over the decades. So my question, I mean, obviously you've played a wide range of complex characters, powerful characters across your career. Where does Blaine Youngblood sit for you among the roles you've taken on? And kind of tie into your answer, what drew you to this story specifically?
Mm.
Oh, thank you for that. It's very, Blaine is very close to me because I am a father, three biological kids. My wife and I, she has six, I have three, I have nine. I have a huge family. So the familial energy is, we live with that second to second.
Mm.
So to show that on camera and to be more specific, to show a Black family, two Black men, father and son, and to show the nuances of that in this world of hockey. We don't get to play in that world too often in cinema. So all of that was exciting. And that is also what drew me to the film. It was something unique, something we don't see often. It was a challenge. And I was laughing at the gray hair. That's all my gray hair. I don't usually rock it like that. But to do something different, to present
Right.
yourself in a different way, to show a different side of you. So all of that was intriguing to me and compelling.
Obviously, hockey is a very specific, physically demanding sport, right?
Yeah.
So, what kind of preparation did you go through to make this world feel authentic?
Mm,
So I trained at a gym. Production put me at a gym where I trained in like in the gym itself, but also on the ice. And I'll never forget the very first day that I went to train. I said to the trainers, Daryl Levy, I was like, dude, treat me as an athlete preparing to make it to the pros. Don't treat me like an actor. And I never forget, as soon as we were done the first workout, I just slowly walked to the bathroom and I was like throwing up for like
hmm.
5 minutes. And I was like, oh man, what did I get myself
What you
into?
asked for, man.
Because they were really pushing me. So it was about, getting my body ready, getting my mind ready, and then getting my ability on the ice as close to Dean's talent as I could.
Now, moments ago, I asked Blair about the father-son dynamic at the heart of this story. So, a similar question for you. What did you and Blair discover about that relationship, the father, the Blaine and Dean relationship, once you were actually in scenes together?
Man, I think it's what Blair was speaking to, that it's born out of love, that he's in pursuit of trying to bring out the best in his sons the way he knows how. And I think if he didn't infuse so much love in it, it wouldn't affect Dean so strongly.
Hmm.
It's like dad is telling me to do X, Y, and Z. That doesn't feel inherently right to me, but he loves me. So he wouldn't be trying to lead me down a path that isn't helpful to me. So it was about finding the nuance in that and trying to make sure that Dean was also not just feeling the that his dad was overbearing, that he felt his love and that was a guiding force as well.
Now, speaking of that, I mean, your character is confronting toxic behavior both on and off the ice, right? And we see in the film he has to make decisions about the kind of man he wants to be. So, was there a particular moment in the script where you felt that turning point click for you?
Um, well, let me see. That's a good question. I'm not sure if there was a specific moment that like sank in, but I knew the through line was always to have him in a position where he came to understanding of the man that he wanted to be. If there is a moment, maybe it's that scene at the end, that we were talking about, where he finally gets to express himself to his dad in
Hmm.
a way that he hadn't before. But I think it was always about trying to find his way back to his mom. Like she was infusing a certain learning into him as he was growing, which, I don't know if it's a spoiler, but when he loses her, he kind of loses his compass.
Hmm.
And dad sets the compass in a way that wasn't inherently Dean. I think Dean is more like his mom. Hubert and I talked about this, and
Hmm.
Kelly was more like his dad, and I think it was just about Dean finding his way back to his compass. And I think that last scene helped with that.
This film had its world premiere at TIFF and it received a really powerful response. So, Blair, what was that experience like? Specifically, what do you think resonated most with the audience?
What it was like was incredible. So I got a chance to meet Ashton's mom. I came off stage, made a beeline to his mom.
Yeah.
I love mamas, so I had to definitely have that connection. But honestly, it felt like a victory.
Yeah.
I'm a director also. I've directed a film, that never made the light of day, that wasn't even bought. So when you do a film independently, as this was, and somebody finally buys it, and it's going to be, portray, I can't say, but shown exhibited at TIFF, which is a very respected film festival, and then bought, and now we're in the theaters. Each step is a victory.
Mhm.
I really locked into that and just enjoyed that ride. That man, we got this far,
Right.
before it was bought, and now will be in theaters around the world. So it was an amazing thing altogether.
Ashton, at its core, Youngblood is a story about identity and becoming, right? So, what do you hope audiences take away from your character's journey when they walk out of the theater?
I mean, just that I think we're always in process and
Hmm.
there's always space to figure out who we are. When I was growing up, and I think for a lot of people, the things that I learned was taught to me. My belief system was of my parents, it was of my community, it was of my friends. And I think as I got older, I had to come to an understanding about what was mine for me, what I believed in for myself. And I think that's something that audiences that I hope connect to, like are the versions of ourselves true to us? Are we who we want to be? It's about, especially for Dean, connecting to his inner child, who he wanted to be. And, I think the question of
Mm.
would my inner child want to hang out with me, and then hopefully they can connect to something like that.
I like that. Would my inner child want to hang out with me? I love that. That's so perfectly stated. Okay, gentlemen, that is my time. This was a beautiful film. I'm so glad I got a chance to watch it. And thank you for speaking with me today. It's been a pleasure. Blair Underwood, Ashton James. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
spreading the
Yeah.
word.